Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud.
And David Lauer.
9th episode of the season. And I would argue one of the best. The best episode we've gotten so far of the season. Just right now. Yeah, I'm throwing it out there. I'm like, oh man, that was amazing.
I buy it. It was definitely one of the strongest episodes this year.
Yes.
I feel like it's in the top 2 for sure. But I'm not sure if I would declare it the best.
What else is up there for you?
The one where Abe came back. Or the one after Abe came back.
The one where he lost his shit and started like smearing
bus,
blood over his face and
bus.
all that stuff.
Yeah. That was
2 Abe-centric episodes.
Yep.
He was the guy who breathed fresh air into this kind of I don't know. It was a shitty season, I felt, until he came.
It's definitely lacking star power. There's a lot of guys I wish who were here.
Yeah.
I like some of the guys here, but I mean, we see in the final of this episode, there's guys who you wish were here full time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. And star-studded. This particular episode is very star-studded.
Yep.
Terrific physical performances in this episode, and great political maneuvers, I suppose. But anyways, that's what makes a great episode, and that's what I tune in for, exactly. But let's address what happens at the bar. It's Vince and just being lame, creepy Uncle Vince, to Jenna and Brianna, and like, let this sink in right now at this moment, where Jenna is just like, this guy sucks. I wish he was gone. Blah, blah, blah.
He's trying to be funny, but he's not.
Yeah.
He's just being annoying. And Jenna said that he's annoying and she wants him gone, because that would be one less vote against her.
The guy who's been voting her in every single time, just being an asshole.
She just came back. She beat Kellyanne.
Meanwhile, at the other end of the bar, well, maybe Vince is there too, but it's Bananas. He's getting a toast with Mike and Abram, and he's like, to 2 honest guys in a dishonest game, and they clink, and then he's like, now your turn, and Abram's like, you're an asshole, you're a piece of shit, but you play a great game, like that. It was funny. It was a great moment between these two because it was genuine. Bananas is just being a snarky asshole, just like making light of everything because, he wants to talk to Abram. He says in confessional, he's like, I don't like being in the same room when Abram's buttering a piece of toast. Like, I don't want to be in elimination with this guy. So if I could somehow dissuade him from going against me, I will. Yeah. So he lays out this little...
And what he said, though, it seemed like he was just acknowledging, yeah, I'm the sleazy one at the table. I know I'm a liar and an asshole.
Yeah.
He was acknowledging that. I mean, he knows he is, but that's the first time I've ever really seen him admit it.
That is true. That's another...
I thought that was strange, because I was a little taken back. I'm like, oh, they're actually going to let him say that.
The fact that everyone's this season saying Bananas is an asshole, and Bananas is kind of saying...
Is he going to embrace it now?
That's the thing. The worst... The biggest thing I have against Bananas isn't necessarily all the cheating and all that, cutthroat shit. That's encouraged in this show. It's just that sometimes he can be very fucking boring. And that's probably the worst, like when a wrestler goes out, what's the worst thing? You could get cheered, you could get booed, you just don't want to hear crickets. And sometimes to me, Bananas is boring.
Nothing at all.
Yeah, sometimes to me, Bananas is boring as shit. When he won Rivals 1, I barely noticed him in that season, and he just ends up winning, But when he has to, really fight for things, he's interesting. Free agents, he was interesting there. So, he's not doing anything in this season particularly. He'll just swap votes to vote with the crowd because he knows he's outnumbered. So he'll just throw in Nani and Camilla. Yeah. These are effortless moves for him. It would be effortless for anyone. It's just, go with the flow. Don't ruffle any feathers. All the cliches. Mm-hmm. Don't make waves. And he's doing that, but it's just, people getting angry at him. I'm getting way off track, though. What? Bananas talks to Abram.
Bananas tangent.
Yeah, Bananas tangent. God damn it. He's talking to Abram, and he says, you want to knock me out, whatever, and this is like a big game of Monopoly, but you're not playing with little shoes and little metal cars or whatever. This is with real people.
Mm-hmm.
And Abram, to confessional, he's like, it's hilarious how this guy somehow was able to talk people into doing what he says. And just Abram's not impressed with this whole analogy, the whole Monopoly thing. But good for him, though. He doesn't see through it.
But still, why hasn't Abram put forth more of an effort to get rid of Bananas?
Well, that's the
That's
thing.
something we're going to have to get into.
Oh, yeah, we will in good time. Like, this really boils down to politics, and Abram refuses to do it. He's so, like, not high and mighty. I won't say that, but he's definitely trying to say, me and Mike,
They're trying to stay on a
straight
different
edge.
level.
Yeah, exactly. We're above the situation, as he says later. We're here to just compete and have fun. And anything else outside of those restrictions is bad. So they don't want to politic at all. And that's what all this whole season's about. Remember, I said the missions don't mean shit. Teams don't mean shit. What matters is the politics.
I have a theory as to why he's not politicking. I'll just say it now.
Yeah.
Is maybe the reason that Abe hasn't put in Bananas is because Abe wants to win this season, but he wants to beat Bananas in a final. Because he hasn't thrown him in. He's been, like, always talks crap about him, disses Bananas to his face, but then he never really votes against him. He never pushes that direction. So it's like, okay, I think he just wants to go to the final and face Bananas in a final. Like, because I think he thinks he can beat him.
That's many shades of Jordan. Foolish. But I don't think so necessarily, because who else would have to be in that final? Cara Maria and Jamie. Because that was his main pledge going in here. He's like, I have 2 missions.
But he could help sabotage if he was there in a final with them.
Yeah.
Couldn't he? To help ensure that Cara Maria won.
Sabotage is in just make sure that Bananas doesn't win no matter what.
He could hide, like, the oars from his raft or something, or throw his running shoes in the woods.
Yeah.
Throw a stick in his bike chain. I don't know. If he's not doing anything and he's not trying to persuade the vote in any way, you're just doing the same thing that Bananas is kind of doing, where he's not trying to put anyone in. He's just going to vote with the crowd.
Right.
And they're all just falling into line. Like, someone just throws out a name right at the beginning, and everyone just goes off with it. I'm like, okay.
I guess that's what we're just itching to jump towards, right? The whole ending scenario between Abe and Johnny. That's the whole scene that's set here before us. This is the whole story. The very beginning, Bananas and Abram, just like they're totally open about it. They're like, yeah, I hate you. I know, man. Like, isn't this crazy? We're on the show. And Johnny's trying to give it his all to dissuade him, but Abram's like, no, man, I'm too smart for this. You will not convince me to not call you in. But you know what's going to convince Abram to not call him in? It's really just a matter of the love of a challenge itself. This is by far the best mission this season has had, and the challenge. I feel like the challenge hasn't had an impressive mission like this.
This is the coolest one yet.
Yeah. It was fantastic. I was like, this is so difficult. Abram called it
It didn't look super tough,
Navy SEAL mission.
You just have to know how to swim and not panic. But a lot of people have issues with that, just like the ability to hold your breath and swim down deep.
It's called air pockets. 150-foot fucking swimming thing underwater. You gotta wait.
The boxes are 7 feet down, they said.
7 feet down. 6 air pockets. You gotta go into the tank, wait until someone else is in the tank with you before you go to the next one.
And if you submerge during your time, you're disqualified.
Yeah. Yeah, that's harsh, too. They could have changed it. They could have allowed people to just swim to it.
Because I was, at first I'm like, why do they keep swimming, like, right from the start? Why don't they swim right up to it and then just swim down? But apparently they had to, like, kind of go the long ways to get to that first one.
I think they had to.
So they made that first one more difficult.
I think what the rules actually are is go down at the buoy, the beginning buoy, and then get down to there. Because when they leave the 6th box, they actually have to come up right at that buoy. So, I mean, it's very strict. Maybe unnecessarily strict, because we're going to see a lot of DQs in this thing.
But I thought it was good because it was challenging. So there's like, I'm sure they had a discussion about it, and they're like, no, let's just leave it this way, because it'll be tougher.
Okay, so air pockets. The red team's going to go first.
Bananas starts it off.
Bananas, and totally fitting. You know, this guy's a fucking pro to his bones. He makes it to the first air pocket. Next is Brianna. I've always said that the sequence in which a person participates within its team speaks volumes, and Brianna's going second. That's awesome. She says she's nervous. She always says she's nervous, but she goes for it. She doesn't quite get there. Pops up. She's DQ'd. Me personally, I audibly said no.
So you were proud that she was there. You thought she was deserving?
What do you mean deserving?
Like, I feel like the second person I'd put up would be a stronger person. I don't feel like Brianna is that strong.
She's done really well in these missions.
But they had to have at least asked her, like, before they picked the order, like, hey, are you a good swimmer or not? Right?
Right.
And if she says she is and that she can't do it, you got to be able to trust someone's word.
Okay.
So it looked obvious that she was not going to be able to do that.
Really?
Like, she seemed petrified.
Yeah, I don't know.
She looked like she was no way going to get it, so.
I've been warming up to Brianna as of late, and I was just hoping that she could do it one more time this episode, really step it up, and maybe let everyone else see what I see. But no, she kind of let me down.
I feel like her bloodline has been stronger this season.
Yeah, and that's
Much
okay.
stronger.
You like Jenna, I like Brianna in a weird way. It's fine, man.
Wow.
All right, next for Team Red is Corey. For some reason, I really liked him at the beginning. I think just personality-wise, I felt like I could relate to him just a little bit. But he fails on this one. Does it suck? Yeah.
He hasn't done well.
But he did okay with the crossing the building up high. He did well with crossing the mud.
What one did
previous
he fail
episode. He hasn't really been failing too much. But, I mean, he's doing a lot better than his bloodline, let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line, right? So Corey's out.
But Corey hasn't been in an elimination. That would be interesting to see, but he hasn't.
That's true. Next for Team Red is Rihanna. Johnny has this line of saying, I have no faith in Rihanna. She may look like a sea creature, but she doesn't swim like one.
That was a great line. I liked it. But it is very insulting. Like,
it is.
That's a super mean thing to say about another person. That they were together, like they had to have at least been friendly for those.
But it doesn't matter. See, they're on the same team. They're on the same team. But he could give a shit less. Everyone could give a shit less about who they're actually on teams with. This is useless. Although it's amazing. This is an amazing mission. I'm not going to try and take away anything from it. But it's just that teams do not mean anything. It's all political. Anyways, Rihanna, she tries to go for it. She does not make it. I don't know if she did very well or not. I don't think she did. Next is Cara Maria. Cara Maria, who we all know is a shitty swimmer. She did terrible.
She did. It was like watching a rookie out there.
Yeah. And she was just like, at least I tried.
I'm a big fan of Cara Maria.
Yeah.
Like, I've always been a fan of hers.
Too.
Like, from the beginning. And it's just so disappointing to see her go out like a chump. Where it's just like, wow, you just couldn't do anything. And it's like, she's been on these for so many years. Why are you not practicing? Get a membership at the Y where you can go swim around. Right? Hold your breath underwater. Get your lay of the water.
Cara refuses to swim how Abram refuses to do the politics. And Cara Maria refuses to do the politics either.
She said all year long that she's going to do whatever it takes to get rid of bananas. But she's never actually followed through with that. It's all just been hollow words.
Yeah, what was it? Anything but bananas. The ABB. This is clever, right? I'm going to say it in front of the cameras. But it's not right at all. You picked bananas first, and you listened to saying about, getting rid of all the girls previously in the beginning of the season or whatever. I don't know. I like Cara Maria. I naturally root for her because she is the underdog and she has yet to win. But I really don't like her. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to root for someone and also like them, but I don't really care for her because she's not trying enough politically. Whatever is going on with Abe and Thomas, that was a little shitty.
Everything's just awkward and weird now. Like, they've settled in. It was kind of cool that first day when Abe got back, and then the second day, and then there's, the drama happens. Then after that, it's just been all of them just kind of being like in this very sullen mood all the time. Just nothing exciting or fun. They're never doing anything to talk about on camera that's exciting. We haven't seen them together.
Well, no, actually, this episode, they are talking to Jenna about her voting or whatever and how she feels about Vince. And they are actually cuddling a little bit. That did...
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you really had to look for it. But that was Abram in that bed with her, so... It wasn't Thomas.
Oh, the ghost of Thomas.
Okay, so Cara Maria, she does not make it. Kind of a pitiful performance.
Yep.
Next, last team for a red team is Abram. He gets there.
And he knows he can tank it and lose.
He goes up into the first tank, Bananas is like, oh, fancy meeting you here.
I was thinking at first if he wanted to tank it, he might just swim back up in that first try.
Yes, but he didn't.
But he didn't. He went down there, and I knew once he did that, I'm like, well, he's going
to play it out.
Yeah.
In this moment, it could go either way. Even Abrams like, all I got to do is kind of try and drown Bananas or whatever because I hate him so much. But they're in the tank together.
I think Abe could have fought him out of there.
Yeah, he could fart him out of there?
No, fight him out of there.
But Bananas, this is what he says at that moment. He says, if Abram throws this right now, he's going to dampen him and Mike's image of being the upright playing dudes.
Yep.
Now, that's both correct, but not necessarily as negative as Bananas implies. He's like, oh no, this is just a front, you know? Like, they're trying to support this TV image of them, so they're not going to throw it right now. I argue that it's Abrams. He could not help himself. It's in his nature to compete in one of the best damn missions the challenge has ever seen in a long fucking time.
Yeah.
And who could resist when Banana's able to go to that next air pocket? You have to follow him, right? If Bananas could do the third one, you got to go. You know.
Yeah. If he can do it, you can do it.
You have to up your game, and I don't blame Abram at all. This is a tragic moment, yet the most exhilarating, where he cannot help but just perform to his best.
I like this moment when they're both swimming along. They showed why those two guys are on another level. Like Abe and Johnny on this season of Guys, they're on another level, and they proved it right here.
Physically in the missions, and they command the cameras when they talk. You know, we're still in want of some new fucking players to take their place. The closest we've had so far, Tony and Shane. Those two are interesting, but they're out.
Well, we don't know if athletically they can hang.
We don't. No, Shane kicked ass. Remember that when he ran he was like a blur. He went across the water or whatever. Either way, these are vets who are we tired of seeing them? Maybe, but holy shit, they are the best part of the show. I'm wondering about how new fans feel when they tune in and they're like, who are these old ass motherfuckers?
It's just weird and it's lame when you see the new people who show up, the Bloodlines, and none of them can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Corey couldn't do it, Brianna couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like Cara Maria couldn't even do it. And so, I mean, I guess it's difficult, but I'd like some of these new talent to just come in and be dominant and be good at this stuff.
Bananas and Abram, in the best mission we've seen in a long fucking time, they're able to finish it. And it just sucks because now we cut to Cara Maria and she's like, Abe, this was your one chance to fucking get rid of him. You said you came in here, you were going to get rid of Bananas, and what do? You know, I felt like she was naggy a little bit, which kind of dropped her in my mind of girls to root for, because I'm like, come on.
I thought that was weird.
He's doing an amazing mission. I figured she would get swept up in it if she's into these things, if she's truly into challenges, but she's like, this was your one chance to stop Bananas from doing challenges till he's 60.
Yeah, but he knows that the last episode, Bananas tried to tank it. So he's trying to show that he's better than him, so there's no way he could tank it.
Oh my god, I didn't think about that.
That's his moral. You would never do such a thing. He has to play it straight because he's the good guy.
Oh, that's true. And that's how heels are able to one up the face, because they know that face are restricted from doing certain things. Oh my god.
They're never able to just do that little dirty deed that'll help them get him the win.
Alright, so Bananas and Abram, they finish off.
Now it's blue team.
Now it's blue team. First is Mike, Abram's brother, and he's Nature Boy too. He's good.
I feel like I would be like Mike if I was on the channel.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, he does really good. And he's fearless and stuff. You were fearless? You're fearless, right?
Hell yeah. I have no fears. Fear no man, no beast.
Next is Jamie, and he's able to make it. It's good. So now Mike is able to go to the second air pocket. Next is Anissa, and she's like, fuck the stereotype. This brown fish can swim.
And then she swims very nicely, and it looked great for about 4 strokes.
But to me, it was just awful. I mean, she did good previous episode, but before that, remember, she wouldn't even go on the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This
was
just
she would just acknowledge that she was bad. Instead of just... she tries to talk like she's good, and then it's like, no, you couldn't even do it.
Yeah. Was it a funny line? Like, fuck the stereotype, I can swim. Of course it was. But Anissa is the best at making us laugh about her bad performance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? She covers it in some lame excuse or some joke, but she is goddamn bad.
Yeah. Speaking of lame jokes, like this has to be the first time Anissa's ever not wanted to get in the box.
Yeah, she makes that fucking joke too. Oh my god.
I know, like, literally, when she wouldn't go in the box, I thought that in my head, and then, like, 7 seconds later, it popped up, and Anissa said the joke, and I was like, wow.
No, it's what she does. It's so weird. I don't understand why she's still this integral part of the show. I have no idea. All right, so next is Jenna. She actually makes it.
Yeah, she makes it, and I was just like, wow, Jenna is awesome. She survived 3 eliminations this season. Now she's doing this.
So then Jamie's able to move, and so is Mike. So they're getting a little bit further. They're doing way better than the red team at this point. Next comes in Mitch. He gets into the number 1, but by that time, Jenna's already freaking out, and she can't stand it. Like, you know, Mitch shows up. He's like, just calm down, but he can't calm her down at all. Jenna's had enough. She actually gets out of the tank and DQs.
Mm-hmm. I was disappointed.
That was disappointing.
I thought she was going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I think she thinks, okay, if I got to the first one, that makes me that much better than these other girls, so that way I won't be the worst performer. Was that what she was thinking?
I mean, she's...
Like, I'll just do just enough, but I don't feel like doing this, so I'm not going to keep trying.
The only girl she has to beat right now is Anissa, and Anissa didn't even fucking... She didn't make it. She didn't make it to the tank. Every
so
teammate...
that had to have been strategy, right?
Yeah. At least make it to the tank?
Yeah. I'd like to think Jenna's smart enough to do that.
Well, she does make it to the tank. Mitch can't calm her down when he shows up, so she takes off. And Mitch is about to start freaking out as well. And could it be because he just saw someone else take off? And did that freak him out too, then, you think?
It might have. I guess it spooked him. I don't know why, though. Because he was doing fine.
Yeah.
He looked like he was like, okay, I got this. He made the first one easy. I thought, oh, Mitch has got this.
Now it's Vince, where everyone's like doubting, like Vince is horrible and shit, you know. And I assumed the same. I was like, he's not even gonna make it to tank 1, but he did. He got to tank 1. Mitch is able to take off, but he DQs. He doesn't make it to 2 at all.
Yep.
And he's like, it's scary out there, and it's really disappointing.
Jenna couldn't do it, and now he's kind of just given up too.
So then next is Vince. He's got to try and go to 2, but he can't make it either. And now everyone's laying on Vince. Oh, he's horrible. He's a fail and stuff like that. Yeah.
It was kind of funny. I don't know. It was because he hasn't done anything that impressive. And he definitely seems like the weak link on him as Banana's team. A very complete contrast. Like sometimes teams have equal members, like Corey and Mitch. I feel like they're somewhat equal. Bananas and Vince, that's complete opposite.
Yeah, he's a definite hindrance to Blue Team, but we'll see how Bananas handles him now that they're going to get back together. We keep jumping ahead, damn it. So now Vince, he DQs on his way to number 2, to the number 2 air pocket. So now it's just Jamie and Mike. So Jamie swims over to Mike. He's like, dude, it's just us now. Mike's like, oh, shit, all right. And they fucking do it. Very impressive. Swim pocket to pocket to pocket. Go around the buoy, swim back, and time is stopped. And TJ's like, once again, red team wins. It's a tragic thing. If I was Blue Team, if we all watched red team Bananas and Abe finish at a certain time, why not Mike and Jamie just say, hey, you know what? We're going to outswim them, basically. Yeah. All you guys can DQ. Let us swim this faster than Bananas and Abe. But there's no leadership on Blue Team. Like, Blue Team is...
That would have been a very smart strategy.
But we're not dealing with smarts on this game. Like, no. This is our epiphany for the season after this episode, where we're like, we're dealing with some goddamn inadequates. You know, they're not going to be able to rise to the top where they need to be. Oh, okay, so this is big news now. So TJ's like, hey, you know, you guys got to vote in a dude from the Blue Team. But this is the last time you guys have played as 2 big teams. You're going to be reunion, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Because these teams have been kind of pointless anyways. And I think it would have been probably just a better format if it was just every team for themselves.
Yeah?
Yeah. All the challenges, all the missions, you kind of just do everything.
It would have been Yeah, like worst guy and worst girl. What? How did that? Well, that was kind of annoying though. Remember, like in the beginning of the season where it was like it didn't matter how bad the girls did, they were all full girl teams, and it was Kahara and Jill that ended up, like that was annoying.
Yeah, you don't want it to be that way where it's girls one week and guys the next. It would have to be you're both up for elimination. Doesn't matter. Guys or girls. You can vote in girls multiple weeks in a row if you want.
But it's probably not going to be that way. All right, so let's get to the blue meeting. This is right before deliberation. Mm-hmm. And Jamie's going in there and he's saying, you know what? Who I trust? Mike and Abram. Out of my own team, Mike. And Jenna. Jenna's pretty upstanding. So they go in there and Jenna's like, who I vote for? Vince. And everyone's like, good, finally. We all know that creepy Uncle Vince has been ripping on you all season.
Yeah. And he always talks about performance.
Yeah, and he's by far the worst. You would think that that would start a snowball effect. But it really doesn't. No, she says, I know for the guys, she points to Mike, she's like, you said that you would be willing to go in every single time, right? So it's a weird thing that Jenna does. She brings up one point, but yet shines a light on another option, which I think is stupid. Yeah. So right away, Vince is like, yeah, that's right, Mike. You said, I'm going to go in every time, And Mike's like, Vince, why don't you and Mitch, who have been doing the worst, why don't you guys volunteer and go in? And Vince is like, because I'm not dumb. I'm not going to do it. And what does he say? What does Mike say? He's like, don't you want to? It's like, no.
Vince is right, though. Like, I told you the first episode when Mike came out and he volunteered to go in, that you never volunteer to go in. Mm-hmm. This doesn't mean that you're afraid. It means you're playing smart. You want to lower your odds.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in an elimination. One little screw up and then you're gone. You don't have to volunteer yourself. I just think it's ridiculous that Mike volunteers himself constantly. I thought Abe would be upset with that, but he never was. Like, Abe's okay with it, too.
Well, Mike says, since I've gotten here, I've wanted to go against Vince. And I feel like Abram was like, hey, this is our number one target, Bananas or Vince. Obviously, if I'm in the losing position, I'm going against Bananas.
Yep.
You're going against Vince. So now Mike is there, and he's like, okay, well, I wanted you guys to volunteer. You're not going to. I'm going to vote myself in. So now let's cut to what I deem Alliance Talk number 1, right?
Yep. Bananas and Jenna and Brianna.
No. Alliance Talk number 1 is before those two. Jamie and Cara say, hey, it was bullshit what Vince said to you, Jenna, and what he said in general. You are the only people that we trust. And Cara's like, yeah, totally. Like, I'm doing the ABB, anything but Bananas. We can't side with him because as soon as they get back together, Bananas and Vince, they could give a shit about anyone. That's been evident throughout the entire season. Jamie and Cara Maria say that to Jenna and Brianna. They're like, we would look after you. We all saw what Bananas has done to all these girls. Nani, Kellyanne, Anthony.
Camilla.
And Brianna's like, yeah, totally. And I thought Jenna was like, yeah, totally too. But
yeah, they seem to agree.
So that's Alliance Talk number 1. So they take off. But it's not too official because Cara Maria leaves like, well, good talk, I guess. There was never like a sit-down handshake. This is what we're talking about. They were just talking.
Generalities.
Yeah, they were talking that. So they take off. So now Bananas and Vince are like, you know what? This is a survival game. It isn't about who is the most honest and who has the most integrity. Bananas lays it out flat. He's like, no, this is about being a shithead. So we got to do what we got to do. They go to Jenna and Brianna. They sit him down.
He's lay him down.
They lay him down. Yeah, they're all laying there in the sun. It's kind of a hot meeting.
Yeah. Jenna's ass looked great. That cannot be overlooked.
No, I could not overlook that either. With the sun
just laying out there over in the sun. Yeah, just the moonrise of her butt cheeks. It was glorious. Or sunrise, moonrise.
And he says...
Moonrise, yeah. Mooning someone.
He's like, let me tell you this. In your best interest, it's to get rid of Cara and Jamie. And Jenna says, why? Banana says, because she's the bigger threat to you guys. Like, who's going to be tougher, her or Rihanna and Anissa? It's a good point, right?
It's a terrible point.
No? Yeah?
Because it doesn't matter if it's... Once you get to the final, you and your bloodline go to the finals, so you need a strong partner.
No, he's saying when they go into elimination, Because they're not in the final right now. I thought he was trying to say in the weeks coming, because there's still going to be at least one other girl day. Who do you want to go against, Cara or Anissa and Rihanna?
You know what I feel like Jenna, if she voted with Cara, they would be in alliance together, and then they wouldn't have to worry about Jenna getting voted in. You know?
I totally agree. I'm just saying, Bananas is doing his work on them right now. But I feel like
Cara Maria isn't the biggest threat. Bananas really is, because if she makes it to a final, she's going to have to beat Bananas.
I agree. So I'm on board.
So it's almost like she's just content to like, hey, if I got to a final, just like her getting to that first air pocket, she was content with just getting there. She was content with getting to the final last year. Maybe she's not even caring about who she gets into the final with.
Well, either way, I mean, what Bananas does say to them sticks, because he does persuade them. And he says, you basically go from penny stock to Microsoft. But I'm like, didn't you just insult them? As if, like, they have no value in this game? I mean, Jenna just won 3 of her own fucking battles. You know what I mean?
I guess he's just referring to how they're being fought over for votes.
Let's get to the actual deliberations themselves. It starts off with Blue having to vote within themselves. Mike says, I volunteer. I gave Mitch and Vince the opportunity several times. They won't do it, so I'll go in. Vince is like, I don't give a shit, man. You can say whatever you want. I'm not going in, you know? So bye, see ya. Now it's Red Team. Bananas starts off the voting. He says Jamie. Rihanna, who is linked with Anissa, she'll do whatever Anissa says. Anissa is totally oh, totally. So she votes Jamie as well. So now it comes down to a swing vote of sorts, Brianna, and she says we're gonna go with this because it's what the rest of the team is doing. So I'm gonna vote in Jamie. And I think it was either Jenna or Brianna. They said it's safety for us. That's something that no one else has offered us. No, Jamie and Cara just offered it to you.
Yeah.
So it's really just a bad decision, or it's their decision. You know what I mean? It's just there's not a lot of thought put into it.
I was a little upset because if Mike's going in and he's volunteering, shouldn't Abe, on like Mike's behalf or even Mike himself, just go to Jenna and be like, hey, I really want to go against Vince. Usually if a guy is going in, he's volunteering to go in, let him choose the partner he's going to go against and swing the vote that way. We've seen that in past seasons, but they didn't make any attempt to.
Exactly. Next on Red Team to vote is actually another swing vote, Corey. And he says, the way the numbers are looking, we're going to have to go with Jamie. I mean, it could have been a split vote because now there's 3 votes and there's 3 more. Corey says, oh, we're going to go with Jamie. Did you not think that Cara and Abe would have, you know? Like, it's just absurd.
We just need to get another person. Just, Cara Maria should be doing it. And Abe talks about how, my biggest goal is for Cara Maria to make it in this game. He says that, but his actions don't show that at all. He's like, no, I'm just going to sit back and we're going to see what happens.
What sport is it where it's like you just refuse to use a certain section of it? Like, say, in football, say the Packers that are like, we don't like to kick field goals. We refuse. We don't go for a 2-point conversion. We don't do any of that. We just run it in the game, no field goals. They're like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, that would be not taking points would be ridiculous. But maybe if it was just like certain teams who just don't like to run the ball and they always pass it. They're like,
there you go.
They're like, hey, we're just not going to run the ball that much. We'll run it maybe 12 times a game, but screw that.
There you go. Yeah, and I feel like
it's like you're missing out on something.
Yeah, and that's Abrams' gameplay.
You got to play all 3 phases in football: offense, defense, and special teams, and it works that way in the challenge.
So now it's Cara Maria. She has to vote, and she says, "Well, cuz looks like we're gonna have to go in no matter what." And Abe, he's like, "You know what? Mike and I, we just wanted to have fun. We wanted to compete, but that's just not what these challenges are anymore." And he just has a hard time dealing with it. You know, he's just a man out of place. Like, this isn't the challenge anymore. It's mutated into something horrible. So when he says, you guys sell it yourselves, this is more pathetic than what you do in the missions. If you're willing to cheat here, you cheat in real world and stuff. But, like, if I was these other guys, I'd be like, yeah, so that's the point of the show, bro. Like, duh. You know, like, I feel like...
Yeah, they could have said that.
It fell on deaf ears.
I love Abe, and this was an epic monologue. Like, he made himself really appear like the good guy, and he's too good for them. But at the same time, it's like, if you're on a challenge, you have to realize what that is. It's not some, like, noble in any way.
He was in Cutthroat.
Like, you're going to have to politic and do shady stuff. It's on MTV.
Abe's like, you know what? I vote in Jamie. And I won't even dignify Vince with a vote or something like that. So now it's fucking boyfriend against girlfriend, basically. What a turn. What a twist. Like, this is awful. This mission was so spectacular that it made me forget that it doesn't matter. It's all about the politics.
Yep.
It doesn't fucking matter. So Abram was amazing in the mission, not politic. It's a flaw. It's a flawed design.
He should have tanked that thing. He should have just not swam to the first box.
And it's not like Abrams never fucking threw a mission before. He did it in Inferno when they wanted to get rid of Katie. Although it wasn't his idea. He was overruled. He just made it really obvious that he was throwing it and shit.
But this year, Abram has like this John Cena gimmick going on where he's just trying to be super clean, doing everything right. I'm not going to politic at all because that would be disingenuous. And it's like, okay, good for you, Abe.
Yeah, well, you handicapped yourself when going against Bananas. Bananas is, again, part of the challenge. Can you beat him? Cara Maria seemed to be ignoring all the shit that happened before Abram showed up. I feel like Abram reminded her that is the villain. That is the problem, you know? Oh, Bananas has a line of, well, Cockroach Man lives to fight another day. I was like, holy shit. If you could refer yourself to Cockroach Man, I mean, it's so obvious. He's just getting away with murder in every episode this season, you know?
And nobody tries to stop it.
No.
And, like, I just wrote, like, because Bananas is safe again, like, I feel like people don't think they're going to win a final. So they're like, okay, because I feel like you want to get rid of Bananas because he's the best in a final.
Yeah.
That's the reason you get rid of him, because if he gets to a final, I feel like he's a shoo-in to win because he's been so successful in those finals. So I've always thought, you got to get rid of him soon, and no one has. And Bananas is just like a cult leader, and everyone just kind of follows him. And it's just like Battle of the Exes 2 last season, when Bananas was gone, and then once he comes back from exile, all the teams just follow him. Like, He's just a cult leader. He gets everyone to do as he likes.
It's a fear thing. People know that he'll always be on the show, so they are always just like, oh, if I betray him this season, he'll really gun for me in episode 1 next season, because he never leaves, you know? Time for the pit, Dave. It's called Hand It Over. It's a special pit. Jamie and Mike show up, and TJ's like, hold on, guys. We're going to pull a cutthroat on your asses, where we bring in CT to be kind of a ringer. But we're going to bring 2 of these badasses, CT and Zach. They come out of the curtains.
I was excited. Like, I knew Zach was going to show up at some point, but I had assumed that CT went home already. Because when we last saw him, he was just like in a club, and then he was gone, and then we never said goodbye. And I was like, oh, that was a weird exit. But it kind of makes sense now that he's back here. And I'm excited because I love CT. And Zach is awesome. I'm a huge fan of his.
I liked him in this episode, but I did remember not liking him in Battle of the Exes 2. Like, I still don't really care for him.
I remember really liking him in Battle of the Seasons, so I've always been a fan of his from there on out. Just like his interactions with Frank. Like, I always was taking Zach's side.
Yeah, they're going to have to go against these 2 fucking bruisers instead. It's a total twist. Who knows, this could have happened to Bananas again had they voted Vince in. And who knows, maybe Vince would have to go against CT, the guy who picked a fight with in the bar, or fight with Zach because Vince has been picking on Jenna all season.
Oh, yeah, that would have been great matchups.
But no, they're going to have to toss a coin to see who goes against who. Jamie gets CT, Mike gets Zach. What you have to do is there's these 3 poles on either end of this wall. It's just, is it a tug of war, you think? Just pull.
Yeah, basically, to slide that pole out. But it's just going to come down to strength and grip strength. And there's 3 stages, like a short, a medium, and a tall. Let's not forget CT right before this. He cut a great promo. I'm not paid to think anymore. I'm a hired hand. I'm a mercenary. He's going to come in and he's going to give it his all. Where it's like, okay, yeah. It made me excited because I'm like, Zach and CT are guys in the challenge who have always performed well. And we get to see that, like that kind of effort that we saw Abe and Johnny do in the previous mission.
Round 1 was Jamie versus CT. CT does really well. I don't really remember how fast it took or whatever. But after the end of it, Jamie was like, Jesus Christ, this kid's strong.
And this wasn't a surprise. Like, we knew CT and Zach were just going to pummel them both.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it was just like, okay, who can hold on the longest?
Right. Round 2, he's not using his legs. That was the main thing about this particular round. Jamie was not using his legs. Maybe he was just thinking, like, just play defense. But it's like, you can still play great defense with your shoes or with your feet pinned against the wall. You know, you're using your entire body.
Yeah, you need to use your leg strength because your legs are strong enough to hold your body up all day long.
During this round, it's kind of funny. Anissa has one glimmer of greatness where she's like, Cara Maria, the whole time when Jamie's up there, she's like, go ahead, cousin. And he's like, it's so fucking annoying. I kind of felt the same way. Cara Maria's like, hey, cousin, we're cousins. And producer's like, listen, Cara, we can say that you guys are cousins on the screen. We'll just put cousins. You know, you don't have to let us know. We'll
you know what it reminded me of?
Or post-production.
It reminded me of Tori and Brad. I was like, come on, babe. Let's go, babe.
Oh, right.
Good job, babe. Next one, babe. And Tori's just saying that to Brad the whole entire time. That was on the duel, too.
Oh, yeah. But round 2, CT beats Jamie. Now, this third round, which is, to me, really impressive. That's the one where it's, like, way off the ground. You have to leap up there and grab it.
And you kind of got to, like, dangle on it as you're trying to pull it.
Actually, Jamie and CT both leaped up there, wrapped their bodies around it, and placed both their feet on the other side. But CT just straight beasted Jamie, which is no surprise. But he does it. He pulls the pull out so far that, like, CT's ends up, like, just dangling for dear life. Because he just didn't, he pulled it out so far. And then he takes out the rest, grabs it with his arms, and pulls out. Because by that time, Jamie fell off. Yeah. Because he took so much pull away.
Yep, and he couldn't just reach up and grab it.
Next is Mike versus Zach. Before all this, Mike is like, you know what? I'm actually glad I'm not going against Jamie because he's a friend of mine. I know him. Like, obviously, Cara and Abram, they date.
It is true.
So he's like, I'm glad I'm going against Zach because now I could actually get in that competitive mode. Zach has this little moment before he's like, you know what? I think I'm a little bit more nicer than CT. Like, I feel like Mike got a better draw because I'm just a little bit nicer than CT, but I'm like, I don't know, man. You were a scoundrel in Battle of the Axis too. I didn't want to see him ever again.
On the second rewatch, he wasn't as bad.
Yeah,
he had one really bad episode, but
there was a lot of sexist shit going on with him. I felt. I just couldn't abide.
But there was some truth to it, so it was somewhat forgivable. Like, it was offensive, no doubt. Okay. But the women he was talking about, it was true of them. Like, it shouldn't be said about all women.
There to hear.
He's a good guy. Trust me.
He's a good guy. Just
don't listen to his words. Listen to his feelings.
First round. At first, Mike was pretty confident. He was like, I'm not feeling any tug from Zach's side. Yeah, it feels like he's struggling. And that was interesting. It was like, holy shit, really?
Maybe and that kind of comes down to, like, Zach with the sledgehammer, like, using terrible technique. And, even though he's got brute strength, he's not using it properly. It's kind of Zach's Achilles heel.
But eventually Zach does figure it out.
And there was no way he was going to be able to pull it out from Zach. Like, Zach was just trying to find the most efficient way to pull it out. But he knew he had a good grip on it.
Zach ends up pulling the pull out as soon as he figures out. And it's funny because Abram's like, good job, Mike. Good job, Zach. And Zach's like, thanks, Abe. Because Abram, it's a true spirit of competition. You cheer no matter what. There's no negativity at all in Abram's performance. Or in his character, apparently.
And do we think Abe wants to go home? Or would he rather have Cara Maria go home?
Well, he did say, this is pre-pit, where they have the prep talk, and he's like, hey, Mike, what are the downsides of losing? And Mike's like, well, $350,000. And Abe's like, shit. But I don't feel like Abe really cares. Like I've mentioned before, where on Cutthroat he said, I won twice. There's no need to win again, really. It's to help Cara out. But he said...
And it doesn't seem like the money means a whole lot to him at all. Like, he's like, okay, I don't need it.
Yeah, he probably
I feel like you'd almost prefer that he didn't have it. Because that's kind of like the lifestyle he lives. He lives like a weird hippie lifestyle.
Yeah. He'd rather live in a van down by the
squalor,
river.
Yes.
Yeah. Round 2, they were both terrible techniques. No one really made any sense. But eventually Zach just wisens up and pulls it out of Mike.
Pulls it out of him, yeah. yanked
A
it
little
right
too
out.
quick.
And it was,
Could've
I
used
don't know,
it.
it's kind of what I expected.
Well, do you remember what happened in round 3?
I just remember Zach was dominating.
This is the high beam.
Yep, and he was kind of just, had his arms in the air, sliding it out.
Yeah, Zach took care of business really quick for round 3, and it was over for Mike. But the whole time, Abe was, like, okay with it. You know, he was like, hey, listen, you went against a big fucking guy, you know, like, don't worry about it. TJ finally announces, hey, Cara Maria and Jamie, you guys win. And the way I see it, had the twist not been thrown in with CT and Zach, it would have been Jamie versus Mike, and I feel like Jamie's just in better shape. Jamie is a correctional officer or some shit, right? Like he works in the prison. He's like a guard and shit.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be strong and fit.
You're going to be a lot more fit than Mike. What does Mike do?
He runs Spartan races.
No, that's Anthony.
Oh, never mind. What does Mike do? Mike swims really well. And he's fearless.
So does Jamie. I'm just saying Jamie is physically trained to take down these huge mammoth homicidal maniacs. I'm sure there's bigger people than CT in prison.
But maybe Jamie works at like Orange is the New Black, where it's just a female prison. He doesn't have to be super physical with them.
Yeah.
It's not like he's throwing around 300-pounders. They're all just like $150.
Jamie's occupation, a lot more insight than whatever Mike does. We don't know what Mike does. We don't.
I feel like they're equal.
Yeah?
And I just think it was proof that Zach is better than CT.
Really? I did not take that in at all. That's not what I gathered at all.
He beat his time.
I don't see it. I just think Zach had a weaker competitor.
I agree. I'm just saying that. Kind of, because Zach uses such poor form. His form is just terrible.
Okay, so Abram and Mike are gone. They shake hands, they hug. There's no kiss between Abram and Cara, as far as I can recognize. There was no, Cara wasn't
We didn't see
crying.
anything. We just saw Abe acting cool and walking away.
Yeah, kind of forgot.
He said one line that I didn't really understand what he was saying.
He said, I didn't mind showing up and chasing off some guys away from my girlfriend.
He said something else, too. It looked like he was talking to Anissa when he left. Do you remember that?
What did he say?
I don't even remember what he said. He said some line, and then because Anissa's clapping, and then he says something, and then she just stops clapping.
Maybe it was like, seriously, retire. Maybe that's what he said. He's like, take it from me. I'm a vet, and I'm telling you to retire. But he leaves with a laugh, his maniacal laugh. It's just great because that's, you could hear the voice. You see CT and Zach there, like everyone's there. It was just a great episode to end on. We got to see stellar performances from everyone. We got to see Cara just dries the bone. She's just like, well, this is my bunk bed now. Abram's out. Like, that's all she had to say. She was just like, no more guy drama. You know, Thomas is gone. Abe is gone.
She's
Thomas
kind of relieved.
because of Abe.
And it almost makes sense where, Cara was saying once she got there, she was planning on just dumping Abe after the season anyways.
Yeah.
Because it kind of just took a fast track right onto the season. Where you could tell over the last few days, they weren't boyfriend, girlfriend. There was something seriously wrong there. She was ready to move on. And good for Cara. I'm happy for her. Yeah. Because I like Abe. He's awesome, but they're not a good couple. They're too similar.
I don't know. It's like when a favorite leaves the show, you have to justify why you tune in for the next episode. So you're just like, well, maybe this team is better than I thought. And right now, Nisa and Rihanna are the bottom of the barrel. I have really nothing for them at all. Vince and Bananas, they've done politically what they had to do to get as far as they have gotten. Cara Maria and Jamie, they won't play the politics. They have to. You know, it's clear now. And then Jenna and Brianna, they've impressed both of us. And then Corey and Mitch, they've definitely, went down a lot.
Yeah. And, this season, it reminds me of seasons that happened in, 10 years ago. When you first had the challenge, it was always, politicking is dirty. That was the census on it was, politicking is dirty, don't do it. Just vote in the worst competitor. And soon, people came along, and they were like, hey, we need to get the vote going in our way. And they politicked, and they were dogged for it and called, shady.
Yeah, alliances was a no-no word.
But it proved to be very effective, and people who politicked, they always won. Mm-hmm. But now, it's like, oh, we forgot this lesson that we learned. They're like, oh, we're not going to politic anymore. It's like, no, look at the past. It works. Bananas has built a career on it.
Yeah.
I just don't get why they refuse to do it. Like, you're on MTV. Like, it's the challenge. It's expected.
Yeah, everyone's short-sightedness into the game, or the inability to play every facet of the game, that's there. It's meant to be there. It's encouraged by producers. They can't do that. They can't vote. They can't realize, the long-term effects of a challenge. Then Bananas and Vince deserve to win. They're doing nothing wrong. They're doing exactly what they have to be doing, So, yeah. That's who I'm kind of looking forward to.
I don't know. It's this episode, as great as it was, I do think it kind of hurt our cast, where you have CT and Zach come in, kind of just beat up on them, make them kind of look bad.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, yeah, I wish these guys were here. And then it's like Bananas is ruling everything because he's an old vet. Abe, the other vet, is gone. So it's like we're stuck with Bananas. And it's like, why are all these other teams just following along blindly?
Yeah.
Why don't they just talk to each other and be like, hey, he's a good competitor, let's get rid of him. He's won it enough times where it'd be like, dude, you don't need the money anymore. We need the money.
Precisely.
That's the greatest defense you can say.
That's why people who actually do vote him in stand out like they do. Wes, Sarah, just put them in already. There's nothing wrong with it. You would receive more backlash by not doing anything. But yeah, that was the end of the episode. Again, remember to subscribe, like, comment if you want. Check out our channel, man. We got other seasons to check out. All right, well, I don't know. That's all I have to say. You have anything to offer?
No, that's the end of the line.
End of the line.